Hello, welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're calling in from. We'll just give it a quick second for folks to hop on. And in the meantime, we have a quick poll for everyone. Have you been to the conference before? Is it your first time? Looks like we got a nice mix, which is pretty usual for the conference, kind of 50-50 in terms of folks coming for the first time and those who have been to the conference before. Give it one more second. Well, thank you everyone for joining today. We're really excited to welcome you to the Roadmap Conference in September in Seattle. It's going to be a beautiful time of year in the Pacific Northwest. I used to live in Seattle, so excited to be back in that city. It's a beautiful city, and to be back in the Pacific Northwest after 2 years of this conference being in Detroit. Today, we'll go over some of the logistical details and recommendations for the panel sessions during the conference. If for whatever reason you're having technical issues, we recommend trying to refresh your web page, and that often fixes issues. And if you have any questions for us throughout this call, feel free to put it in the chat and we will answer it along the way. A few introductions to start. I have communicated already with many of you, but my name is Stuart Hariyama. I am an events manager at Fourth. So in my role, I put together the program for the conference, read all of your abstract submissions through the call for proposals, and then reach out to additional speakers to round out our program. So I've communicated with many of you already, but glad to have you all on board. And this is my fourth Roadmap conference, I believe. And I will pass over to my colleague, Melissa, to introduce herself.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Morgan, and I'm the program and event coordinator with the event management team supporting Roadmap 2026. This will be my third time attending. I'm really excited about it. I'll be your primary point of contact for speaker logistics and session coordination. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today. We're excited to have you part of this year's program.
Great. And just a little bit about Fourth. I know many of you know us best for the Roadmap Conference, but we are more than just the Roadmap Conference. We are a national nonprofit based in Portland, Oregon, on a mission to electrify transportation by bringing together people to create solutions that reduce pollution and barriers to access. And we will have our full team of Fourth colleagues at the conference. So I would highly encourage you to say hi to my Fourth colleagues if you see them at the conference. We have a great team and all excited to be at the conference. And especially for those who have not been to Roadmap before, we wanted to share a little video to give you a snapshot of what the conference will feel like.
Roadmap Conference is really all about collaboration and bringing together wildly diverse stakeholders who all have a piece of the puzzle when it comes to electrifying transportation. This transition requires all kinds of new relationships among different stakeholders. Local governments have got to work with utilities, have got to work with car companies, have to work with community groups. And Roadmap is really unique in being the only conference where those folks all come together in one room. So Roadmap is always a great place to learn about what are the cutting edge issues in transportation electrification, what are the challenges that are front and center that need to be tackled now. But more importantly, the magic really happens in the networking and between the sessions when people recognize how other folks in this ecosystem can help them solve their problems. And now more than ever, that kind of collaboration and partnership is really critical to moving this work forward.
Great. Let me just pull up our slides again. As our executive director, Jeff Allen, was mentioning, this work is, now more important than ever, especially as in a tumultuous time for our industry. And really, Roadmap is a great opportunity to bring together different parts of the industry together in one room and create solutions to barriers to access. And that's why all of you are here today, and that's why we hope that you really are able to take the most out of the conference, is to make partnerships and connections that will help propel your work as you're sharing your expertise to attendees. And I'll pass it over to Melissa to talk more about some of the speaker essentials.
Perfect. Now, before we get into session preparation, just a few important reminders. All speakers do need to register using the speaker-specific registration link, and we encourage you to book your hotel as soon as possible. So please make sure to use the booking link provided. If you plan to use slides, presentations are due September 7th. Everything you need to know is going to be covered in the speaker toolkit, so make sure you check that out. We sent out that information on Monday, but of course, after this call, we'll be sending a follow-up email including the recording of this call and all of the links that are mentioned here on this slide. We'd also love your help promoting Roadmap. So our promo kit includes graphics and sample messaging you can use to share your participation with your networks. So please make sure to check that out. Perfect.
Great. So especially for those who have not been at the conference before, the panel sessions are kind of some of the heart of the conference. We have our main stage sessions, but the panel sessions are a chance to dive into topics in more detail. Our rooms will seat between 100 and 200 folks, attendees, hearing information on a theme, and these are 75-minute panels featuring a moderator and 3 to 5 speakers. So the Roadmap team, the planning team, puts together the panels. We have reviewed, all the abstract submissions that we got back in, earlier part of this year. Thought about sort of what are the important themes to cover this year. Recruited speakers, and put together the full panel that we thought would have the richest conversation and dialogue between different sectors of the industry. From there, we leave it to the panels themselves to decide what kind of format works best for you all. So as you start to, have practice calls and meet each other over email and in person, we leave it up to you to decide, what is the format that's going to be best for you and your strengths. So a few options that you have. One is more of a traditional format. So these are longer presentations with a shorter audience Q&A at the end. This gives the most time for each panelist to present on their topic, but leaves the least time for discussion. There's more of a hybrid approach, which is more like 3 to 5 minutes per presentation, and then a lengthy moderated discussion and Q&A at the end. And then finally, there's more of a fireside approach, which maybe has no individual presentations and is more just a group discussion with a lengthy Q&A at the end as well. And again, we leave it up to the panels to decide how they want to approach this. I personally think the hybrid approach is a very successful format. It sort of balances the two parts of allowing for each of you to share your expertise and slides, and then also leaving plenty of time for discussion and Q&A, which often gets into sort of the details and allows the audience to participate. So I think the hybrid approach is a really successful approach, but you all are welcome to choose whichever one will make sense for your discussion. In terms of your roles, so each panel will have a moderator, and we ask the moderator help to kind of facilitate and guide the panel forward. So this includes helping schedule a practice call, helping decide the format and order of the panel, and drafting discussion questions. So that's all the preparation work. And during the session itself, the moderator usually opens the panel, gives a brief introduction to the topic, and also closes the session at the end. In terms of your role as a speaker, again, there'll be 3 to 5 speakers for each panel. And the speakers, we ask that you have a very sort of active presence, again, helping to decide the format and order the panel, showing up to a practice call, engaging with your other panelists, preparing your presentation in advance, and really ready to take part in the discussion and the conference as a whole. Some recommendations for your presentation. I know everyone does this differently, and many of you have spoken at countless conferences in the past, so I know each of us have different styles. But here are just some recommendations from the fourth team that might help you as you prepare your presentations. One is to think about sort of what is 1 to 3 things that you really want attendees to take away. I think we often have a lot of material to cover and a lot of information we want to share. But what is like one thing you really want attendees to take away, and highlight that throughout your presentation? Another piece is to use your visuals wisely. Each of the panelists will have ability to present slides. And we recommend a maximum of 1 slide per minute of presentation time. That means that you're not having to go through or rush through slides to get through all of them. It gives plenty of time for attendees to digest what they're seeing, and gives a nice sort of balance there. We also recommend you leave plenty of time to prepare your presentations in advance, to practice both individually and with your panel, talking about sort of what you'll be discussing and how you can collaborate with your panel to make sure each of the components are being covered. And finally, and I think this is most importantly, is thinking about the audience as your peers in the industry. They are coming to learn from you, but also be part of the discussion with you. And so being as authentic and approachable as you can. Oftentimes at the end of the panel, the audience will come up to panelists and have more questions or thoughts. So being approachable in that way. But also we really want to stay away from sales pitches, not thinking about the audience as customers, but as partners and fellow collaborators in your work. So I think that's a helpful way to frame sort of how you are working on your presentation. I'll pass it over to Melissa to talk more about the room setup.
All right, next, a quick overview of your room setup in AV. So for our panel sessions, rooms will be set in classroom style in the front and then theater style in the back half of the room. And this will accommodate approximately 190 attendees, so there'll be a really nice size space. We'll have the moderator and the speakers positioned at the front of the room. And these sessions will allow for presentations or moderated conversation and audience Q&A, however you decide to format your presentation. Each breakout room will have standard AV, including a screen and projector, microphones, presentation clicker, Wi-Fi, and an AV tech to support. If you're using slides, they will be loaded onto the conference computer, so you will not need to connect to your own laptop. Please keep in mind that we're unable to accommodate custom or additional AV requests. We also ask that everyone arrive at their session room at least 15 minutes early to get settled and make sure you're ready to go and start on time. Perfect. Next steps. Now that you've been introduced to your session group, the most important next step is to connect with one another. Fourth will not be facilitating individual prep calls. So we highly encourage each group to schedule a 30 to 60 minute planning meeting before the conference. For panels, discuss each speaker's area of focus, your session format and timing, presentation content, discussion questions, and audience Q&A. This is a great opportunity to identify any content overlap and make sure each speaker brings a unique perspective. Moderators, we encourage you to help guide this planning and share potential discussion questions with your speakers in advance. And a reminder for panelists using slides, final presentations are due September 7th. Our goal is for every session to feel collaborative, conversational, and valuable to the roadmap audience. Next slide, please. All right, we made it to questions. So that covers the key information we wanted to share today. The biggest takeaway is to connect with your fellow speakers, moderators, and hosts ahead of the conference and give yourself some time to plan. Again, thank you for being part of Roadmap 2026. We're excited to welcome you to Seattle in September. And with that, we'd be happy to open it up for questions. So please make sure to put any questions you have in the chat. All right.
Melissa, a question that might be helpful to answer is as attendees are planning logistics and they're staying at the conference hotel, how far away is the venue from the hotel? And is that sort of a easy to get back and forth from?
It is. It's about a 5 to 10 minute walk from the event venue to the hotel. So it's really easy to get back and forth.
Nice. And, for those who have not been to the convention center before, Seattle Convention Center, we are in a relatively new building. It's a beautiful building. It's their Summit campus. It's really cool. We're on the top floor overlooking downtown Seattle. So it's a cool venue that we'll be in.
Perfect. And it looks like we have a couple of questions in the chat here. Can sound be broadcast from slide deck if videos are embedded? Great question. We would prefer you to send the videos separately so we can download those in advance. But yes, video sound is available to be played through your slide deck. That's a great question. Can you clarify if moderators should reach out to speakers and plan to set up the planning meetings, or will those be centrally coordinated by us? Another great question. We would prefer it if moderators would reach out to speakers to plan to set up the planning meetings, or if a speaker would like to take that role and go ahead and set up a meeting, that's perfectly fine, but Fourth will not be setting up those meetings. So thank you for asking that. That's a great question. Let's see.
To Bets, we will provide a copy of these slides and a recording of this info session via email. So you will be able to share that for folks who weren't able to attend today. Melissa, just wanting to reiterate in terms of PowerPoint presentations for folks who are using slides, when do you need it sent to you by?
September 7th. Please make sure to send those slides in. We want to make sure we have those in advance. We can check them for you and get those uploaded onto the AV computer so they're all ready when you enter your room for your presentation time. All right. Stuart, how about the dress for Roadmap? What does that look like?
Sure. Yeah. We suggest a business attire for this. I know Pacific Northwest can be somewhat more casual than other parts of the country, but suits and business attire is definitely welcome at this, and encourage especially panelists to dress the top end of your professional wardrobe.
And the question of, yes, speakers do need to register. So please make sure to utilize the speaker specific link to do so. And we'll be sending that in the follow-up email. So let us know if you have any additional questions. Otherwise, it looks like that's everything from the chat, Stuart.
Great. And I'll just make another plug for, the more practice time you have doesn't hurt. And I know panels in the past have also met up in person at the conference before your panel. I think that's really helpful. I moderated a panel last year, and we met up for lunch prior to our panel. And it was another opportunity to run through the order and each person's presentation, develop those discussion questions more, and just get more familiarity with each other. So highly recommend both a virtual call and, if possible, meeting up in person during the conference, potentially during breakfast or lunch when people will have a break anyways. And Melissa, if speakers have any questions from now until the conference, can they reach out to you?
Yes, please do. Reach out with any questions you may have. I'm here to support. I'll be with you all the way up until the conference, and I'll be on site checking in with each breakout session when you're getting started to make sure you have everything you need. So don't hesitate if you have any questions. That's what we're here for.
Great. Thank you, Melissa. And thank you to all of you. We are really looking forward to seeing you in Seattle in a few short weeks. And feel free to reach out if any questions come up. And good luck as you prepare your panel presentations. Bye all.